Good evening. We will call our meeting to order. I hope everybody has thawed out a little bit, and we're glad that you're joining us here this evening. We do like to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you all will please stand and join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated and join us in a moment of silence, where you can reflect on the meeting, prepare for what your thoughts are, or for silent prayer. Thank you all very much. Council, you all have minutes from January 12th. Do we have any changes for those minutes, or do we have a motion to approve as submitted?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, at this time, we will open the floor for citizen comments on public matters. If you have something you'd like to share with us, please come down to the podium. Please use the microphone, state your name for the record, and limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Give us just a second. We're getting our clock set up here.
I won't take 3 minutes.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Keith Weltons, and I'm a business owner and a resident of City of Radford. And I did tell Emily coming in that tonight I identify as a snowplow. Like maybe many of you, my back is aching, so I apologize. I did want to speak. You just approved the minutes, and I know I spoke at the last minute or the last meeting about the 212 project in Radford. And I know that we had some questions afterwards, and so I took note, and it kind of feels weird speaking before you all, knowing that that'll be part of the discussion. But I did want to clarify. I did write down some of the questions that you all had, and I confirmed. I did confirm that the $2.93 million was correct. I did confirm that the project has not been yet purchased, that would be purchased at the end of March, as stated in the project. I did also confirm that it is set to be the most expensive square foot project in the history of Radford, for sure. In fact, someone actually, a public official that I spoke with, actually was going through some of the, a state official, was going through some of it and actually did some math on their own and said that the toilets alone, which is a 5 square foot toilet, equates to $21,520 for the toilets and $36,128 for the vanities in the bathrooms. So if you just take the toilet and the sink in the bathroom, it's nearly $60,000 in the unit for 12 square feet in each unit, just to put it in kind of some perspective. I did want to also, there was an additional question. I knew that I was going to run out of time last time. Back at the September meeting, that an official council member asked, they'd asked the question, is the, a council member asked, is the contract to make the purchase of the property contingent upon the rezoning of the 212 3rd Avenue? The answer on the video was yes. However, the grant that was submitted a month earlier in August to Virginia DHCD states that the purchase is not contingent upon rezoning. But yet they stood here and said that the answer was yes. At that. In fact, the NRCA signed an agreement dated June 20th of 2025, more than 3 months earlier. Well, that's fast. Was that 3 minutes?
That was 3 minutes.
All right, I'll be quiet.
Well, thank you, Keith. Does anyone else have any comments for the public record? Hearing none, we'll go on and respond a little bit. Melissa was able to help us with some of this information to be able to share with you that the 212 project is totally separate from the city. The only city component to that was the rezoning that went to the Planning Commission, then ultimately to the council. All the information had been submitted prior to the meetings that we had to make the final decision on it in the fall. So with that in mind, the city really doesn't have a further role with that project in any way, shape, or form. It's not money that the city's requested, authorized, or done anything with. So that's between community action and the Commonwealth with what they move forward with. And I know one of the questions was looking forward to, sort of based on the rezoning. They had submitted that originally before we did the rezoning project and made the decision both at planning and with the city council. So anybody else have anything they want to add regarding that?
I think the only thing that I'll add is I did reach out to Jenny Reif, who is on the board, and they are actually meeting tonight, and I just asked for any information that she may have to share with us. At the time, she didn't have anything to share, but said that she would follow up that they were meeting tonight if she had any kind of background information or anything like that. So I'd be happy to share that when I get back with her.
But we do appreciate you bringing your concern and talking with us about it. I know it's not helpful for us to say we've done our part, we don't have a further role in it, but hopefully that helps ease your mind that this is not something that the city has facilitated or moved forward with, even though the Planning Commission and the council decided not to move forward with the rezoning.
Yeah, I guess, and I don't want to speak out of turn.
You can say whatever you want to say.
It's this, as I said in the last meeting, it just felt like we all left with more questions than answers were given. Best or inaccurate, kind of way to say it.
Well, and we'll see what we get. I mean, again, they're eligible to apply for these funds with the state. I think the only role that we had was to consider whether or not we were going to rezone that one area, and then we'll see where the project goes. It may be the most expensive. I don't know what it'll end up looking like. Right, if that's how the dollars are spent. Yeah.
I did get that confirmed by officials.
Right.
It would be the most expensive.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, folks, we are going to move on with some reports here, and we do have the polar plunge coming up, and boy, has it been preparing it for us with the weather as we have experienced the chilly temperatures. But the Radford City Police Department and the city in general have worked really hard to help pull off this polar plunge. Emily Height is here to give us an update on the plunge, which takes place on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Thank you for being here.
Indeed. So the plunge is set for February 14th, and we're going for the river this year. So pray that the forecast keeps it that way and the river's low. So the event is going to be, registration opens at 10 a.m. that day, and we're actually going to plunge at 12:30. Our goal this year is $108,000, and we already have 200 people registered, which is a win. Some cool things this year that we've kind of added to it is the Cool School Challenge, where we're inviting the school sports teams to be able to come and participate. And what's really cool about it is that whatever funds that they raise, they get 50% back, and they're able to use towards their sport, which is awesome. So it's a win-win for not only, it can be middle school through high school, as long as they're associated with the school. So that's pretty awesome. So we've been in talks with the schools and some coaches, and we're hoping we're going to have a good turnout that way and just show more community in the event. So we're looking forward to it.
Okay. Thank you. And I do want to say, council, we all have an opportunity to sign up and join us plunging in the river. We've got 2 weeks. So you're more than welcome to join me. Thank you very much, Emily, and I appreciate all the work that you do and all the work that the entire police department does with the Special Olympics. You all have helped with the torch runs, you've helped with the games, you've helped with so many things over the years, and I just want to say thank you. I know it's a lot of work, so thank you very much. Moving forward, today is International Holocaust Remembrance Day, a vital reminder of the consequences of hate and the importance of fostering tolerance and understanding. We have a proclamation that serves to honor the memory of the 6 million Jews and millions of others who were murdered during the Holocaust. It's also a moment to reaffirm our collective commitment to combating anti-Semitism, hatred, and prejudice in all its forms. Jesse, you have that for us this evening.
City of Radford Proclamation, International Holocaust Remembrance Day. Whereas January 27th marks International Holocaust Remembrance Day, designated by the United Nations General Assembly to commemorate the anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz and Birkenau, the largest Nazi concentration and extermination camp. And whereas January 27th, 2026 marks 81 years since the liberation. And whereas today and every day, we remember and honor the memory of 6 million Jews who were systematically murdered by Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, along with the millions of other innocent victims, including people with disabilities, political dissidents, and others targeted for persecution. And whereas International Holocaust Remembrance Day serves as a solemn reminder of the dangers of hatred, bigotry, and anti-Semitism, and underscores the importance of education, vigilance, and action to prevent such atrocities from occurring again. Whereas the City of Radford reaffirms its commitment to promoting tolerance, understanding, and human dignity while standing against all forms of hatred and discrimination. Where it is our duty to ensure that the lessons of the Holocaust remain a cornerstone of our collective memory and to honor the resilience and courage of those who survived and rebuilt their lives. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the City Council of the City of Radford that January 27, 2026 be known as International Holocaust Remembrance Day in the City of Radford, and we call upon all residents to join in solemn remembrance of the victims, educate themselves about the Holocaust, and commit to building a more tolerant and compassionate society. Mayor and Council, I would like to make a motion that we accept this proclamation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? A really important remembrance, an important thing to keep in mind, and with the world as troubled as it is today, it's good for us to think about how we treat our neighbors, and whether they be here in Radford, Virginia, or across the country or around the world. So thank you very much. Moving forward with some unfinished business, at our last meeting, Seth mentioned us going to visit with some of our representatives. We're looking to do that on February 5th as part of the Virginia Municipal League Day. And we have for a number of years, even prior to anybody up here being on council, worked on legislative priorities that we communicated with our representatives to ask them to carry forward. And they've done different things. They've moved some things through committees. I know we've testified in the past before those committees and worked on some different projects and gone from there. Council, you all have a list of priorities. I'll just read through them real quickly. Our number one priority that we had talked about was the West Radford Commerce Park. Right up there with that is economic development in general, with the concept of possibly having a data center in Radford, although it's so interesting how the view of data centers has changed in the time since we first discussed that months ago. Looking at our parks and recreation to restore and expand what we have there, talking about energy and the costs for the City of Radford for wholesale energy, other pieces that would allow us to produce more energy in the city. One piece that we have shared for a number of years, it used to be that taxes that were generated in Radford stayed in Radford and some were submitted to the state as needed. The state has since started collecting a lot more of those taxes and then they send some of it back. So revenue generated in Radford staying in Radford. For example, the telecommunications tax on your cell phone or other devices, liquor taxes, those go through Richmond rather than coming through the taxation process here in the city. That could result in a significant amount of money being here in the City of Radford. We have requested assistance with property maintenance. Some of that was dealing with blight and other issues at a further level. That's one of those that Delegate Ballard has carried forward with us and that we've testified before various committees on. Several Main Street initiatives, again, working to build up our Radford East and West Main Street and to further develop throughout the city. And support for our first responders, looking at police, fire, EMS, trying to make sure that we can support them the way they need to be supported in the community. I also had mentioned a couple of things that I had on my mind, and we can open up the floor to other ideas as well. I serve on the Peppers Ferry Regional Wastewater Treatment Authority, and one of the things we've talked about is that is not the normal setup across the Commonwealth, excuse me, for wastewater treatment, and that hopefully the state might be able to help us with some of the collective expenses we have so that there's not such a burden on each individual locality. Advocating for that through our legislative priorities can hopefully help us. We're still working to recover. There's about a $12 million need based on Hurricane Helene. Some of that will be taken care of through federal money, some of that through state money, but we still don't know until you actually receive the dollars what you'll get. But one of the things we had hoped was we could put some support out there for Peppers Ferry. That benefits us. It benefits Montgomery County, Pulaski County, the town of Dublin, the town of Pulaski, as we're all partners in that wastewater authority. And then about a month ago, we had a meeting with the New River Valley Regional Commission to talk about how regional planning districts are funded. The state used to fund a much larger portion of the planning district, which helps in a variety of ways, whether it's working on zoning initiatives, a comprehensive plan, going to get grants, working on projects like East Main Street, just to name a few that Radford's been involved in. Trying to get more state support for the planning district then lowers the support, again, of all the member districts within, or member localities within that district. So those are some things that I was hoping we could add at least to the list and explain to Senator Hackworth and Delegate Ballard the need that we have there. I know we had talked about pilot, which is payment in lieu of taxes, which is something that's been discussed not just in Radford, but across the Commonwealth. And that's something we can open up for further discussion. Does anybody else have anything else they want to talk about for some of our council priorities?
I think the pilot program was something that I was interested in exploring a little further as well to, you know, as our costs continue to rise, looking to ways to offset some of the public services that we help with the university. And it's not just Radford and Radford University. This is any university town in the state of Virginia. I think our neighbors in Blacksburg, I read an article not long ago where the university bought 7 acres of commercial real estate right off downtown. And, you know, that is fully within their rights, and it takes two to tango, but there will be economic impact for that. And I think taking that to our state legislators to think about and consider. I know that right now it's more of just an agreement and, you know, kind of a compromise, but working with them to come up with something a little more concrete, I think would be beneficial not only to us, but to other people in the Commonwealth who share their locality with a university. And we want it to be a partnership, but you think about Cogen, and we're about to lose another $1 million off the tickets. I'm not going to rehash all of that, but looking at ways that we could maybe further that partnership and do a pilot program makes a lot of sense. And I think we're not the only locality, so I'd like to add that to our priorities as well.
Absolutely. That was my number one.
Well, and one of the things I think we've got to figure out is, you know, what does that look like? I think there's a whole lot that has to be worked out. Historically, and you may remember this from your time on council before, Guy, the university has helped with emergency services, helped with fire trucks, EMS, things along that line. And I don't know that there's any current, and Todd, I'll ask you, and I'm not sure that you know, I don't know that there's any current remuneration from the university to the city for any emergency vehicles or emergency services at this time. Are you aware of anything that's being paid by the university for that?
I'd have to look into it, Mayor.
Yeah.
To that point, at one point, I think that we had to have a fire truck that would service Muse.
Right, the ladder had to be
Yeah.
tall enough to get to Muse, and they helped fund that. But I think it was even bigger than that at one point. I think it actually went to fund a portion of the fire department budget. Again, some of this is well before I ever served, so I'm not sure. And that was, like you say, that was an informal agreement. Those exist. The reason I bring that up, I know that in Charlottesville, actually the Student Government Association at the University of Virginia has made a resolution to try to get the university to pay, and I believe I'm correct on this, I read a news article about it, to pay some of the emergency services within the city of Charlottesville as they saw that as a benefit. Again, I don't know what it would look like. I mean, that's one suggestion for what might be there, and certainly that's a need as we're working to pay for a fire truck and working to look at the number of people we have on a shift, which is impacted by the university. And it may be something, you know, that, like you say, can be done statewide, that a framework can be put together that would help with that to help us understand further. Is there anything else that we would like to look at for our priorities list?
I have a couple. One is aging infrastructure. I have the water plant, water sewage lines, and the electric infrastructure. I also have an increase in tourism, helping with maybe looking at utilizing the river more, bringing more tourism to Radford.
Speaking of the infrastructure with the water, Todd, I know that around Grove Avenue, there's Grove and then maybe 3rd Avenue. I can't remember. There's a couple places where the water line infrastructure is in pretty rough shape. Do you have kind of an inventory of some highly critical or priorities that we could look at in budget season? Because I agree. I do think that those are investments that serve us all well that we need to look into.
I have been looking into that very topic this week. We're looking to see what CIPs, that's capital improvement plan, what the city does have. And that's not just on the distribution system, but also the water treatment plant and the wastewater collection system. So we're looking to see what we have as far as CIPs on those departments and their infrastructure and what may be needed. There are some grant opportunities to get CIPs completed. So if the city does not have those, SERCAP sometimes can fund those. They've
And last year, didn't we use a little bit of CBG money for down on Stockton Street for a sewer project, I believe?
We did, and we also, in our current budget, and I'm working with Don Green in regards to Grove Avenue. He's got 2 water improvement plans that he's going to be working on. So as soon as it warms up and the weather is good enough for him to, but he's hoped to have that completed by early spring.
Awesome, awesome.
So to that point, like, for example, the water treatment facility, that's part of the Peppers Ferry wastewater system. We own our own water treatment, but it's part of the overall system. So that's where trying to work with that. So maybe a subheading of infrastructure, and we put some of these projects under that, put some things together. Anybody else have anything else they would like to consider, anything else we want to flesh out? So how about this? And Melissa, I know you do a great job trying to help us hash all this out. Let's put this together, and then maybe we can have a short narrative with each thing that we can work on or whatever we have, so we can have that as a handout to be able to use when we're speaking with our legislators, that we can have available to explain it, so it's not just a line item, but it actually gives a sentence or two, maybe a little bit more, to be able to explain what we're asking for and what we're hoping they will do. I would like it if we had outcomes with each thing, so that if you don't have a specific ask, a lot of times it's kind of fruitless just to say, help us with this big question mark, and go from there. So that should be helpful. But I think this will be good. You know, the VML day will be wonderful. It'll be quick. There's a lot going on that day. But FaceTime is always a good thing with those folks, and we can continue that. And we can mail these ahead of time in addition to taking them with us when we go. Council will be attending. I think everybody is going to go. Is that correct? February 5th. That's an all-day thing. And if you'll notice, if you have one of our agendas and you look online, we've listed that as an official February 5th all-day activity, so that that's advertised, since all of council will be attending.
While you're on that note, will we have kind of an itinerary of the day, or how you know, a breakdown of where we're going to be, when we're going to be there type thing?
That's my understanding, and we should be assigned someone from VML to guide each locality and to meeting with your respective delegates.
Awesome, and you'll just
Delegations.
distribute that to us whenever you get that? Perfect, thank you.
My understanding.
Yeah.
I had reached out to Michelle Gowdy, who's the executive director. I'm hoping we're going to have some time with Mark Raberton, who is the new director of local government relations. Don't know if that's going to work out that day. They were meeting with him, trying to see if he's going to have time to meet with the different localities that day. If not, we may try to do something, whether it's Zoom or if he's coming to this part of the state or anything along that line. That's an initiative from the governor's office to have executive branch relationships with the localities as opposed to just going through the legislature. And that can be another avenue for this as well. But I think she's going to get back to us. Unfortunately, everything's kind of been on hold in Richmond, just like it has been here with all the weather issues that we've been going through. But thank you all very much, Council. We'll work on this and get it back out to everybody and make sure we've got a good final priority document. We'll send that to Delegate Ballard and Senator Hackworth's office, and then we will have it with us when we go. Council, you have a couple of things in front of you for some appointments we need to make. In August, we appointed Melissa Skelton as interim city clerk, and we think it makes sense at this point in time, as we're still working through some things, to go on and make that a permanent appointment, and then we will move forward from there. Council, do you all have any questions, or do we have a motion to appoint Melissa as the permanent city clerk?
Motion to appoint.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Congratulations, Melissa. I could say I'm so sorry, but, you know, I'd rather say congratulations. We're going to be positive. We also have a letter from Ryan Blackburn, who's interested to serve in the Recreation Commission. He has been a resident of the area for 50 years. Over the past 23 years, he's been actively involved through coaching with both Radford and Dublin Recreation Departments. He has a lot of interest. He would want to be supportive and enhance opportunities for children in our community as they represent their future, our future. He's committed to fostering unity within the Radford community. Folks, do you all have any thoughts, comments on Ryan's participation as a member of the Recreation Commission?
Anybody know him personally? I do not.
I don't.
I do not know.
No. I just know him from his letter and that he's interested.
This is not the gentleman whose father was involved in the recreation center that we...
No, no, that's a completely different situation. Well, do we have a motion to accept Ryan's appointment, or do you want to take some more time, or what would you like to do?
I would make a motion that we accept him as a member.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving on to new business, looking at Radford Transit.
Mayor, I apologize. Before we get into new business, I failed to remind you that we have a resolution supporting the the declaration of local emergency.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. Oh, do you want to do that before new business?
But we needed to amend the agenda to include that.
Okay.
If you don't mind doing
Yeah, I was
so.
going to get to that. Okay, so what we can do, council, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda under new business to include our resolution of approval, confirmation, and ratification of the declaration of a local emergency. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We'll get to that in just a minute. All right, Radford Transit. The city makes an annual application to the Virginia Department of Public Rail and Transportation and Federal Transit Administration for funding to support Radford Transit, and Melissa has an overview of our fiscal year 26-27 budget application. A public comment period is also available. While a public hearing is not required, we have to have the application in for funding on February 1st, 2026. Melissa, the floor is yours.
Well, Mayor, I apologize because I don't have a big presentation like I did last year. And as directed by council and understanding the funding, the situations that we have been in, you know, one thing we have looked at is necessity. You know, we understand that our budgets are tight. We did this past year do a modification to a couple of our routes that allows us to have a lower request this year. So our request is about, overall operating request is about $200,000 less, which equivalates to about $20,000 savings in city portion. Our total budget for operating is $2,529,724,000. I've given a breakdown of our 5311 grant, which is half of our total operating. An estimated state is 471,126. That's gone down a little bit each year, so we don't have those numbers, aren't finalized until probably about May, when the state approves their actual budget. So the city's portion, we're looking at 267,934. What that does not include, if you remember last year, I did request a TRIPS grant for free fare, so anything, we'll get a portion of that back. So that's my cap for the operating. And then we're looking at 6 replacement buses. We did 6 last year, we have 6 this year, with the city portion being 11,327,000. And that's the only capital that we're requesting this year. As I said, we're being mindful of our budgets and really just trying to do necessity and reevaluate as we move forward.
And thank you for finding that savings. So just to reiterate, we were able to combine a couple of routes, that's saving a couple $100,000 off the total budget, which represents about $20,000 to the city. So we have decreased a little bit of what we have to expend. We have people ask about this all the time. Why do we have a transit system? Why does the city pay into that? Well, for about, again, once you include capital, $277,000, almost $280,000, the city's able to get a $3 million system for the city. And that makes a huge difference in the lives of the residents that need it for work, for being able to get groceries, for emergencies, for all kinds of things just to get around. And you really notice that when we have to pause transit service for something like weather or anything along that line. So it does make a big difference, but what a bargain to spend approximately 10% to get this incredible system for the city. The university does pay a portion of it, but the state and federal money makes up the vast majority of the total. And I just wanted to share that information because I get asked about that a lot as to why don't we just cut that out when we're looking to cut budgets. I think what Melissa was able to do was to trim the budget to find a way to find some savings, but this is an incredibly important investment that we make for the citizens of Radford to be able to facilitate their lives and for us to move forward. You have a question?
I do. Melissa, I went back and I just want to make sure that I wasn't confused because when I went back through last year's notes, that the total cost for us was $255,000, $474, and that does not include an additional $46,000 that the city hopes to receive from a grant for the trip. So I actually thought I had a $70,000 increase. And did I miss something on
No,
that?
I'm showing 287 is what I presented in the report that I gave in January.
Yeah, I pulled this. I'll send you the email that I
Okay.
pulled it from, and I mean, we can go back and look at what we ought
Yeah,
to do.
I'm
I
just
don't
looking
really-
at the presentation I did in January 2025, and those are the numbers I pulled them from.
Okay, awesome, thank you.
And what I submitted to FTA for the application.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
So if we approve this, does that limit us to doing any kind of changes to the routes and that sort of thing?
Well,
when
I'm
we
going
get
to
into the
defer to
budget?
Melissa because changes to routes aren't as simple as us just saying, hey, we think we want to move this way or do that.
Yeah.
Some route changes are already in the works, I think, but what can you share on that?
It limits us to what we can do when we get into budget.
What limits us on terms of reduction of routes right now is our contract with RTW. We have a contract with a certain amount of hours, and we're at that cap. So university has a little bit of flexibility if they want to reduce some hours, but we've reduced pretty much as we can until it's time to go renegotiate our next routes. And that's something that we'll be looking at heavily over the next year. What does the system look like, and how do we best serve our community? We roughly serve about 150,000 people each year. That's a lot of students. That's a lot of people getting to jobs, groceries, doctors. So we really do provide a good service for everyone.
When's that contract come up?
We have another year before it comes up.
Thank you.
A year and a half, I apologize. It's July 1st.
And there's been a lot of work done on looking at potential route changes and other things along that line. It's just complicated because once we have that contract, we really can't make a change with the contract. We can change the money, but then we still owe the contract. So that's, part of the issue that comes up for us.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Do we have a motion to endorse the fiscal year 26-27 transit operating and capital budget?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Moving on to some exciting news at Tall Oaks Ventures. This is out on Tyler Avenue and Rock Road. We have a request from Tall Oaks Ventures 1A to subdivide the property to allow for additional business development. It's located on the corner of Tyler Avenue and Rock Road, and the comprehensive plan designates this site as general business. The purpose of the B2 General Business District is to accommodate a wide range of retail, wholesale, service, and office uses that cater to the traveling public. The proposed subdivision meets all zoning requirements. At the Planning Commission's regular meeting on January 21st, they voted to recommend approval of the subdivision. Are there any questions regarding the subdivision at Tall Oaks Center? Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, I'd like us to take up this resolution of approval, confirmation, and ratification of the declaration of a local emergency. I'll read this to you. Whereas pursuant to the Code of Virginia 44-146.21, the Radford City Council is required to confirm the declaration of any emergency declared in the city of Radford, Virginia at its next regularly scheduled meeting or at a special meeting within 14 days of the declaration of the local emergency, whichever occurs first. And whereas a declaration of a local emergency as defined in the Code of Virginia 44-146.16 shall activate the local emergency operations plan and authorize the furnishing of aid and assistance thereunder. And whereas Mr. Todd Meredith, the city manager of the city of Radford, declared an emergency existed throughout the city of Radford during the extreme winter storm Fern, which just took place in Radford, and a declaration of the local emergency was thereby declared and made accordingly on January 24th, 2026 for the city of Radford, as provided for and pursuant to the attached declaration of local emergency attached hereto and made part hereof. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Radford, Virginia, that the aforesaid and attached declaration of local emergency for the City of Radford, Virginia, dated January 24th, 2026, as declared and set forth therein for the City of Radford, Virginia, and made part of hereof by reference thereunto, is hereby approved, confirmed, and ratified for the City of Radford by the Radford City Council at a regular meeting of the Radford City Council on January 27th, 2026. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this resolution. Do we have a second? Second. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And when we get to manager comments, we will give you a little bit of an update on what took place with the Winter Storm Fern and the city's response thus far. Council, we have several appropriation ordinances we would like to take as a consent agenda all in one. I'm just going to read a little bit about each one, and if it pleases council, we'll approve them all at the end of these. For appropriation ordinance 1815.27 in the amount of $35,193, that is a forensic and analytical tech grant for the Radford City Police Department. This will help with digital cameras, software licenses for digital crime scene 3D mapping, and there's no required match by the city. For appropriation ordinance 1815.28, unmanned aircraft trade and replacement. The Radford City Police Department has been awarded the Department of Criminal Justice Services Unmanned Aircraft Trade and Replace Program. The goal of this grant is to provide funding to law enforcement agencies currently utilizing drones manufactured in countries on the foreign adversary list. Funding with this grant program will replace Radford PD's existing DJI Mavic 3T drone with a Skydio X10 and accessories. Radford's PD grant project was awarded in the amount of $22,330, requires no match by the city. Appropriation Ordinance 1815.29, Overtime Mentorship and Training Grant. Radford City Police Department has been awarded the Operational Ceasefire Grant for calendar year 26 through 28. The grant program aims to reduce total violent crime through effective, proactive policing programs. The grant was awarded in the total amount of $213,221 to support this initiative with no required matching contribution by the city. It will be used towards officer and dispatch overtime, police training, and funding of the Radford PD Rec Sports Coaching Program. Moving out of PD and into a different appropriation ordinance, 1815.30. Teton Crest is a new subdivision located at the end of Chesley Street. The base layer of Teton Crest has been laid and is in need of a top coat. The city's subdivision agreement states if a new subdivision's roadway meets VDOT requirements, the final asphalt top coat will be done by the city. The section is approximately 21 feet wide by 515 feet long. That is a $33,100 ordinance, AO. So the amount came in at $24,000. Total cost for the paving came in at $57,100. So what are we approving tonight? The $24,000, or we're approving the 33 because that's where we came in? We're approving the 33,
You've
correct?
already approved the 24,000
Okay.
at a previous meeting.
I just wanted to confirm.
Yes. Honestly, I can't speak on those costs.
It's my understanding that when staff requested the budget amendment 2 or 3 months ago, they did not have a cost estimate in hand. They were basing it off of historical cost estimates, but when they put it out, the bids came in higher than expected.
So it's an increase, oh, excuse me.
It's an increase of $33,000.
Yes, yes. Absolutely.
Any other questions or discussions regarding Teton Crest?
So it's just an increase from the vendor that we
So,
miscalculated in the beginning.
yes,
We thought we were gonna get it for a lower amount, and
it's my understanding they estimated it to be about $24,000 based off of previous contracts and expenditures. When staff requested cost estimates from contractors, that was the best cost estimate that they could get for the pavement. So that's resulted in the requested additional $33,000.
Any other questions? Okay, moving forward to Appropriation Ordinance 1815.31, VDM Call Handling Equipment Grant. On July 14th, 2025, City Council approved Appropriation Ordinance 1815.05 that included $71,460 for the local match. It does not start until year 2 of the grant, so AO 1815.31 will reverse the local match in 2026, and it will be applied in fiscal year 27. So basically what we're looking at here is shifting some money that we thought we would be using to fiscal year 27. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and that is in the amount of $71,460. So let's do this. Let's go on and see if there's any additional questions regarding any of these appropriation ordinances.
I just have a comment, and I'm going to say it every time. Thank you to the police department. You guys continuously
Absolutely.
are working. I don't know that we've had a meeting, and I might be able to count on one hand, where they aren't scratching and crawling and digging for resources to help us, and I really do appreciate that. And you guys do it. You go above and beyond every time, so thank you.
Absolutely.
well said.
Okay, council, any other questions? Do we have a motion to approve Appropriation Ordinance 181527 through 181531?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Having heard 4 affirmative votes, do we have a motion to dispense with a second reading?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Well, we've had a challenging couple of days. As you heard us go through our resolution of approval and confirmation for our declaration of local emergency, we did have some significant weather event Saturday, Sunday, and into the morning on Monday, a cold weather event over those days, and especially today as well. The city's responded incredibly well. I know council pretty much went out with several of the plow drivers to get a firsthand view of what was taking place on Saturday evening, to see how hard those folks work and to take a look at the work that was being done for our city. Todd, would you like to give us an update?
Yes, I'd like to start by recognizing the Public Works Department, Police Department, Fire, Emergency Responders. Everyone has done a great job. Everyone's been there. Everyone's done a great job through the storm. Public Works Department, they've been working around the clock, 24 hours a day in split shifts. They have been scraping the streets, and they have been dropping salt. It's challenging when the temperature drops below 10 degrees, gets down below 15 degrees. When it's that cold, the salt doesn't activate on the road. So we're dropping it, and it does benefit. We saw that today as we got a little bit more sunshine. The temperature rose a little bit more. You'll notice more snow melt on the streets. So we hope that continues. It'll help us clear out the streets. But the Public Works Department, everybody working in there, it's been freezing cold. They've been dedicated. It's quite inspiring to see their dedication and commitment, along with police and fire. Doesn't matter what the temperature is, they're going to be there to serve the residents of Radford. So I just want to recognize all of them. Trash pickup, I know there's been a lot of questions with that. The weather has not helped. Today, the Public Works Department did go out and work on Monday and Tuesday's pickup. They did not complete it. So tomorrow, they're going to be working on Monday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday as well, with anticipation of finishing it up. Now, the alleyways are still not clear, so if you have pickup in an alleyway, it may benefit if you can get it out to the street. It'll certainly help our crew pick up your trash. So if you want to help facilitate that, try to get it out to the street. It'll help them get to you. And second point, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the budgeting process for next year, fiscal year 2027. That process is underway. We are using a zero-based budgeting process. It's different than what we've used in the past. Zero-based budgeting, how it works, you build your expenditure line items from scratch. So everything starts at zero. You take a look at all of your expenditures, and we're going to request that everyone make notes in that expenditure line item of everything that we're spending money on. And what that does, it forces us to look at all of our expenditures with the goal of identifying historical or legacy spending that may no longer be necessary, that can help us capture some savings and efficiency in the budget. So that's underway. We've begun, staff has begun building their budgets, and we'll have more to report in the coming weeks and months.
Todd, thank you so much. And, I'll just add my thanks to yours for all the folks who worked so hard. I know all of us likely will. It's incredibly difficult to maintain the city as needed, and our folks worked round the clock for at least 72 hours. Some are still working, trying to get things cleared, and that work will continue even though we have cold weather coming for the next 7 or 8 days and possibly another winter storm this weekend. So thank you so much to all of them. So Kelly, what do you have for us this evening?
Don't say more winter storms out loud. We don't need anything more. Going out on the snowplow was definitely enlightening to see how hard those people work. One of the comments I made was, man, your arm must be about to fall off by the time you're turning the steering wheel. And it's a huge truck. And the gentleman that I went out with also drives a trash truck, so I got double duty on asking him all kinds of questions, so it was definitely beneficial. Thank you to all of our teams out there doing the long hours. And all of our PD and EMS and first responders and everybody involved, Public Works, you guys are doing an amazing job. And I saw many comments. There's always some people that are upset, but I think the majority of the citizens of Radford were very appreciative of everything you guys were doing. So thank you guys very much. I know that we're gonna, talk about Bud Jeffries, I guess, later on, but I just want to say he was. When I moved to my current house, he was out there every day with the cows, and he was really good to my kids and me, and I spent a long time having conversations with him, so definitely condolences to his family. I just wanted to say that now. You enjoy the polar plunge. I will support you from afar. Thank you, Emily, for Officer Height, for always coordinating exceptional events. She does a great job, and we appreciate her. And yeah, to Seth's point, man, you guys are cranking out the grants. It's amazing, and we so appreciate you guys doing that and helping us with, some tough times that we're going through. Definitely an example there. So you guys are doing amazing. Other than that, I hope everybody stays safe. I know the roads are still a little bit rough in some areas due to the cold weather, but I hope everybody doesn't go out unless they have to, and if you do have to, stay safe. Todd, thank you very much. I'm excited about the zero budgeting this year. Not excited about doing the budget, but I definitely like your approach, so I'd like that. It's hard work, but I appreciate it.
Jesse, what do you have?
All right, I want to do a quick recap of some of my boards, committees, and commissions in the last couple of weeks, and give you guys some important dates. I had a Heritage Foundation meeting. I wanted to let you guys know that the Radford Photo Club will have their opening February 5th from 5 to 6:30. We'd love to see you there. Very exciting. Radford City Schools Art Show opens March 29th. It will go through April. On March 29th, the opening is from 1 to 3:30, and we're very excited because this year all 4 schools will be participating, so it should be a lot of fun. Mark your calendars for the Mary Draper Ingalls Festival. Mayor, keep me honest on this, July 24th, 25th, 26th?
Always the last weekend in July.
There you go.
You got it.
I had a meeting with the Noon Rotary and the Heritage Foundation in regards to the Tribute to Heroes field that we've been doing. It'll be May 25th will be the opening ceremony, which is Memorial Day. And I'd like to just say that this is a labor of love. These 2 groups have taken this on because they want to honor our veterans and those folks that have contributed so much to our community and the country. So kudos to them for taking that on. I did do a police ride-out January 21st with Officer Spencer. Chief, tell him thank you for hanging out with me a little bit and giving me insight. January 24th, I rode out with Mike for the plow ride that you've heard Kelly mention. And one of the things that they wanted me to, or he wanted me to reiterate, is that we have 5 trucks. And those folks were working, as you heard, around the clock, 12-hour shifts with a mechanic there. And I can tell you, when the city manager and I were there, they had a truck come in that needed fixed, and he climbed right under there, and probably within 20 minutes, it was back out on the road. So they take this very seriously, and we did focus, at least at the time that I was going out, which was more towards the beginning, on the main streets. And also, Radford has a lot of hills that become quite treacherous with just a little bit of snow. So I know there's a lot of folks that are saying that they're not seeing as much action on their roads. Just know that with 5 trucks and a smaller staff, there is some prioritizing that takes place. On January 25th, I went out with Officer Webb. I wanted to get an idea of how our community was recovering. And I have to say, I was very proud of our citizens. There really were not a lot of people out. We hit a couple fender benders that were actually pretty slow rate of movement because no one was going terribly fast, but they were sliding. So just thank you to all of our citizens for being mindful and staying at home. I wanted to thank 2 of our citizens. I'm on Wadsworth Street, and while Wadsworth looked really clear, I was able to get here tonight because I got stuck and had 2 citizens push me out. So thank you to those 2 citizens that helped me. And just in general, I know we talked about the folks that with the plows, but just public works in general. You know, we have so many silent heroes in this community that are so dedicated to our well-being overall. And Public Works, they just, kind of stick their nose to the grindstone and get it done and don't expect much acknowledgement. But I want to take a moment to acknowledge them as a team and to thank them for all of their assistance through the weather. One other follow-up thing I know that I've had a couple citizens reach out to me about East Main Street before High Meadows. There's a couple potholes still, and they wanted some appropriate lines. They said that at night, one woman was a little bit older, and she said at night she cannot see her side of the road because the lines are all but gone. So I wanted to see, Todd, I know you and I talked about that, if we were able to get to that or if that's something we have.
The lines on East Main, and what was the other street?
It's East Main before High Meadows.
At the cliffs.
Yep.
The area at the cliffs there, that was brought up before, because that area stays so shaded, we get a lot of potholes there. And the paving that the State of Good Repair grant did ended right before it got there. So that area, we had fixed a couple potholes, those are back open again, so it needs some work through there.
I'll look into it.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Seth, what do you have?
Well, I'll pile on with the thank yous to all of our public works. It was a great experience. I got to ride with Jason Riggs, who I've known for a long time, and he assured me it wasn't their first snow or their last snow, that they're ready to roll. They're a pretty well-oiled machine, and appreciate all that they do. I think Jesse said it well, unsung heroes, but they are appreciated. And of course, there's always, some comments on social media, this and that, but I think that all of us and 95% of this community are extremely thankful for all that they do, and they did work around the clock, as well as our first responders, fire and EMS, and our police officers. There's a lot of things we struggle with, but having good people in this city is not one. I can assure you of that. Kelly mentioned it, and I agree. Bud Jeffries was such a good person in this community. Some of my fondest memories growing up is my grandparents would take me to his farm, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think he would take anyone and everyone that wanted to go. He was proud of that land, as he should have been. It's absolutely beautiful, historic, just a great man who served this country, who served Radford. Not a lot of guys like that left, and he'll be sorely missed, but his legacy will move on. Couple updates from my boards. The dog park the work is moving forward on that, and we are hoping that will be ready in the spring. Big thank you to Don Green. I mean, these guys cut the cost in half, and this is all supposed to be reimbursable from FEMA. As well, but they've taken the fence down to lower some costs. They've done a lot of in-house work. Great coordination between the rec department and the water department to be able to get some things done. Kind of ties into my next thing. Could we get a FEMA update? I would like a briefing on where we're at with the reporting and things like that. I've seen a lot of other localities are starting to bring in some of that money. I know we brought in a little bit, but could we get that maybe on the agenda for next meeting or two?
Excuse me, absolutely. I can confirm that we've received approximately $34,000 in reimbursement. We received that within the last, I believe, 3 to 4 weeks. We have completed, I've received a verbal confirmation that we have sent or completed about $300,000 in additional requests.
Because I know when we budgeted for, I think, maybe 1 million, and I think that we thought it might get as high as 2.5 million when it was all said and done, but right now it's 300. But what is our best guess of actual expenses that we've accrued that would be deductible?
I'd have to look into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so far, we've submitted 300, but
Yes.
with anticipation that there will be more costs associated?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, if we could get that, I think that would be great. We talked about it as well. We need to start thinking, it's the furthest from all of our minds right now, but the 4th of July and what we're going to do with that. I did talk to our Charlie Goins, and he kind of asked, I think, the 3rd is maybe on a Friday, and the 4th, I know that this being the 250th year anniversary, some costs have really gone up, but I think we need to kind of start looking into that. I know some of our vendors probably are curious as well, so just to put that on our radar so that we can start getting that information out. Also, I wanted to, what's that?
Prior company that paid for it did not. They gave us a discount knowing that.
And I know that, and I think that when the time allows to maybe have Charlie come and present what maybe his vision would be, but I know that this used to be a really big celebration, and maybe work back towards that. Maybe it's on a little bit of a smaller scale, look at our costs, but I think that he kind of has some things that he'd like to run by council, see what we think. If we could get that on the agenda, because I know that that's a trademark of Radford and what we do, and maybe we could slowly build back into it. I did want to ask, Todd, do you still feel good about being able to get us the forensic audit stuff by next meeting, or was it the last meeting in February?
I think we'll have it by the last meeting in February.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
still feel good about it.
Okay. I think that might be it. Looking forward to all of us going to VML Day. So I think that'll be a good opportunity. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Okay. Guy, what do you have?
Well, I want to make mention also of Colonel Jeffries. I think he spent like 27 or 30 years in the military, and you think of a military guy and how tough and all they are, but he was the epitome of a Southern gentleman. So I lift up and ask all of you to lift up his family. I rode, well, let me go back. I'm probably the oldest guy here, lived here the longest. In our city, from electric to street to water, they've always been top of the line. You know, you couldn't ask for a better group of people who do the work of the city, and I'm just so appreciative of them. I rode with a Johnny Shanks, who was kind of brand new to our city. He just came over he followed somebody from Harrisburg, I think, he said, and been here about 6 months. But anyway, we spent most of our time just getting to know each other, and I really enjoyed that. And we shared stories and this and that. You know, his route was pretty level. It was down West Main and out to the interstate, so we didn't have a whole lot of ups and downs, and it was pretty even keeled. Yeah. So, but I really appreciated the time I had with him, and I just wanted him, I sent him a text, but I want to say it here in front of everybody, how much I appreciated and enjoyed that. Appreciate the plaque of thanks from the police department. That'll look nice hanging up on my wall at home, so thank you again, Chief. We say almost all the time, thanks for all you do and all the money you bring in and, you know, the security you give our city. We appreciate it. I want to bring up, saw an article in the News Journal about a senior high school student who entered the VFW Democracy essay. Cole Martin won that essay and will be moving on to, I guess, a state level competition, and just want to congratulate him and recognize him for his work there. And I believe that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. I'm going to be pretty quick. Again, we mentioned polar plunge. Hopefully you all can support that. The Special Olympics is incredibly important to people here in the city of Radford, across the New River Valley, and really all of Southwest Virginia. And this polar plunge New River extends from north of Roanoke down to south of Wytheville. We'll be hosting people from throughout the region, and it is a huge fundraiser. We set a record last year. I'm hoping we can break that record this year, because that makes such a difference in the lives of the participants and their families, and a really important piece. I can't thank Emily and the police department enough for all the love and attention and work that they've given to that program over the years in so many different ways, the polar plunge especially, but throughout the Special Olympics program. That's really been wonderful. Again, I'll just say the same thank yous to all of our public works employees. Again, having to work on those plows while you're using them is its own set of challenges. We had to come back in and get a fuel filter changed, and had to work on a few things, and so it was a long evening. They'll typically drive around 100 miles on a 12-hour shift throughout the city, going circle by circle by circle, and trying to work through that in conditions that are, you know, what the rest of us stay off the road for. So it's a really incredible system. We do have salt, as Todd said. We are prepared for other things going on, and I'm really impressed with the organization to be able to get everything done and get it all taken care of. The other thing that I was impressed with over the last few days is neighbors helping neighbors, people extending a helping hand where they can with whatever the need is, and that's a hallmark of our community. I've seen people reaching out. I've seen people picking up groceries and shoveling each other out, helping each other out as much as possible, and I just say thank you. You know, you're all unsung heroes in times of challenging moments. People step up, and that makes a big difference. The zero-based budgeting is very exciting. Jesse and I talked about this, I think, about 7 years ago when we first started, that this is something that we'd like to try to do, but it was really, really scary to some folks, and they did not want to go with it. This is an exciting thing for us because I think it gives you an intentional budget more than anything else. You don't have legacy spending that ends up being something like, well, I'm not really sure why we do it. We've just always done it that way. It's also known as outcomes-based budgeting, and it's really tied to the priorities of the community, tied to the priorities of the council and of the staff to make sure that everything is intended to advance us in some way, whether it's infrastructure or tourism or other economic development or recreation and sports. Whatever that is, the budget is going to build that. So I'm really excited that we're moving in that direction. I think it's going to help us not only have a better understanding of where every penny goes, but also to make that far more intentional than it has been. We may spend the same money, but I think we'll know why we're spending it and how we're spending it a little bit better, and that's a really important piece. So thank you all so much. I know it's not easy either, but we appreciate it. Trish and Todd and everybody, all the department heads, thank you all so much for working with us on that. I had the pleasure of working very closely with Colonel Jeffries, Bud, as I knew him, with the Main Street program. When he retired from the military, he moved back here to work on Ingalls Farm and to do things with his family. But he thought it would be interesting to work on economic development for the city of Radford. And he was director of the Main Street program for a number of years in the 1990s. And I got to work very closely with him and with the Chamber of Commerce. He brought that military know-how and can-do spirit to the job. But he also brought that Southern gentleman piece that you talk about, Guy. And he was such a scholar, such a historian, someone who wanted to share the story of not just his family, which is, essential to the founding of the city of Radford with the Ingalls family, but of this community and helping to share the story of our Main Street, our businesses, and all the programs. Bud is the recognition for him has been so wonderful, whether it be from Norfolk and Western Historical Society to the Radford Foundation to the different businesses whom he helped over the years. It really has been incredible, and he will definitely be missed. I would like to schedule something on the agenda for for February 9th for us to talk about it a little bit. So let's be thinking about how to best recognize Bud, whether it be through the naming of a spot in the city or something along that line. You don't have very many folks like him in your community. And I think recognizing him at the highest level is a priority for us to move forward with. And we can do that recognition in later February or March or whenever that works for the family. Speaking of recognition, and Melissa, we need your help now that we've appointed you permanent clerk of council. It is time for us to recognize all the high school state-level accomplishments for the last half of 2025. If we could do that and schedule it for the second February meeting. I don't want to schedule too much for the 9th because that night we have a work session at 5:30 where we're going to be beginning to talk about some of the budget elements, and then we'll have plenty on the agenda. But for the second February meeting, if we can go on and aim for that, I'd like to have that be a Bobcat celebration night. And invite all of our high school folks in, athletes, scholars, everybody who's done an amazing job. And there are always so many Bobcats who have achieved at such a high level. We look at Radford High School. It's a small group of students. They don't always have the biggest numbers, but they have the biggest spirit. And they do a fantastic job. And I think recognizing that will be incredibly important at our second February meeting. And that's really all I have this evening. If you'll take us into closed session, we need to take a few minutes to discuss something, and then we'll go from there.
I'd like to make a motion to convene a closed meeting for consultation with legal counsel and
Mind making first a motion to amend your agenda to add a closed session and then do that?
Okay. Would you make the motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion that we amend the agenda to add a closed meeting.
So we have a motion to amend the agenda. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? And now, if you'll take us into closed session.
I'd also like to make a motion to convene a closed meeting for consultation with legal counsel employed or retained by a public body regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel, specifically to discuss the agreement between the city and the Pulaski PSA for water service pursuant to Virginia Code 2.2-3711A8.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please respond by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're going to head to closed session for a few minutes. You're more than welcome to wait outside and join us at the end. I don't know that there will be a whole lot to say after we're through. Thank you all very much.